Welcome to What If I Was in My Hero Academia. Quirk though, Blue Flare. His quirk is gonna be called Blue Flare. It's gonna be Blue Fire, the same thing as Dobby's. It's the exact same thing. He's gonna be much more wielding with it though. And he's gonna be, of course, part of the Todoroki family. He's gonna be the same age as Shoto, but yeah. He's got the same quirk as thing, but he doesn't have the resistance. I mean, he has the resistance to fire, and he's got the resistance ice, and he doesn't have the ice weakness. So he deems him him and Shoto perfect inventions, perfect whatever they're called. Then they always start to train with Endeavor because they have to. He's more abusive than ever, of course, because it's Endeavor, and he's got 2 perfections, so he's got to go extra hard on them. Christian starts to have enough of this, but he gets annoyed. One day when he's 6 years old, he's training with Endeavor with a sparring match, but then he accidentally trips and shoots a fire blast right in Endeavor's face, going, then he falls down, going, "Sorry, I'm sorry." He says, with an angered face because his face is all burnt. He shoots the biggest hell flame blast ever and burns him like he did to Dobby. You know, he's gonna have Dobby marks. He goes, and they all hear this explosion from the room. And they all rush in going, "Ah! Angie, what have you done to my son?" Ray yells. He's got purple skin all over him, you know, like how Dobby does. He says, "He blasted me with fire in the face." Shoto said, "No, he didn't. He accidentally tripped." He says, "Shut up, Shoto. We're in the middle of a chat." Then, blah, 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 blah. Shoto would get his burn scar and get sent away. Christian would get so pissed that then he put some things on his eyes and his hands, you know, the things that Dobby has. Then he'd dye his hair black. But he has smooth hair. He has, like, Shoto hair. When he gets out, Endeavor says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Why do you look like that?" He says, "I want to be nothing related to you. After what you did to my mom and me, I want nothing to do with you." He says, "Well, good, because you'll be sent off to a hero school. A different one that'll train you for a long time, unlike I did, because apparently I was too abusive, so I cannot go, because your mother reported me. So now you have to go to a brand new and what I mean by the school is to like Hawks' school. You know that school that Hawks did to get trained to become the perfect hero? Christian's only going to train there for like 9 years since he's He's going to train there till he's about 12, until he's about 14, until the UA entrance exams when he's 14. He's training there and having such skill and finesse, and they're asking why he has black hair instead of the red normal Endeavor Todoroki hair. He says that his father was so abusive that he didn't want to be like him. They all entertain, and Christian, since Hawks is a little bit older than him, they are friends. Hawks treats Christian like a younger brother, and Christian treats Hawks like an older brother. And then on the UA entrance exam, Christian goes in, but no one knows Todoroki doesn't know it's him. When it starts, Christian instantly creates like a fire wave from his arm. You know that thing that Dobby did to Deku, Shoto, and Shoji, where he put his arm back and then launched a fire slight. I'm gonna call that. He launched and burned a robot instantly, crisp it. He made it crisp chicken. Then he put out his hand saying, and blasting blue fire, incinerating another one. Then putting his hand, then Bakugo would say, "Hey loser, you can't get more than me." And goes for explosion. He puts his hand behind his head, going and then blasting Bakugo with fire. He goes, getting burnt. And then he blasts all over there. Finally becomes first, and he was based off a recommendation to come to UA. He's pretty much, he doesn't have too much emotions. And Christian still knows Hawks to this day. So, when they get into the UA class, well actually no. When Shoto wonders who takes Christian home all the time, he sees Hawks fly down, and some people even want autographs from him. Christian goes, "Ah, great. He's got more autograph signing." Christian looks and says, "Oh, hi, Shoto." He says, "It's good to see you again." He says, "You're back?" He says, "Where were you?" He says, "Father sent me to some stupid training thing for a long time." He says, "What did you say? What did he say to you?" He says, "He said you died." He says, "That smoky bastard." He says, "What the fuck?" He says, that cringy bastard sends me to a school and says that I'm dead? He says, "So who's picking you up? Do you want to walk home?" He says, "Hawks is picking me up." He says, "Hawks is picking you up?" He says, "Yeah, he's basically like my older brother now." So now he takes me and picks me up. Once Hawks finishes all the autograph signing, he goes and takes him home to the Todoroki house. He says, "This is not home." He says, "Yeah, well, the people told me that you had to go here now." He knocks on the door and they say, "Come in." He says, "Hi." He goes, Fumie says, "Do I know you?" He says, "Wow, that's annoying." Natsuo says, whoa, you can't just walk into our house. You don't live here." He says, "You're not even related to us." He says, "Yes, I am." He says, "What do you mean?" He grabs some water and dumps it on his head, and then it turns out to be his normal red hair. He says, "Christian, is that you?" He goes, "Yep." He says, "Why did you dye your hair black?" He says, "Because I didn't want anything to do with this family." Yeah, and I'll be back. He says, "You're already going?" He says, "I gotta go visit Mom." Then he heads to the hospital and says, "Mom?" And comes in. Knocks on the door and says, Mom? She says, "Son, you're here." He says, "Brought some gifts." He says, "Oh, no. He says, "Here you go. Fumie told me to deliver these to you." Don't worry, he didn't actually make them. Fumie did. He says, "She baked you some cookies." Remember, this is a gift from everybody, even me and Shoto, even Dad even wanted to give you a gift. Natsuo gave you... Ooh, that's a pretty good gift for you. He gives it, and she says, "An ice bracelet. Out of all my favorite things." He says, "Thank you." He says, Whoa, you think I'm done?" Shoto's gift was... "Wow, Shoto, that's a nice gift you gave her." Being sarcastic. He says, "You gave her a tea kettle." He says, "Well, I am missing one. I never have one, and I'm not allowed to leave." He says, "Dad got you, a family portrait when me and Shoto were finally born." He says, "And now for my gift." Then she hears meowing. She hears meow, meow. She says, No. He says, "Oh yeah." She goes, "You didn't buy me a cat." He goes, 100%. He pulls out a nice white cat with gray eyes. She says, "And I bought you this kind of cat since it looks just like you." He says, "Honey, how did you get this?" He says, "Hero work." He says, "How? You're not even a pro hero yet." He says, "I know I'm not. But whenever me and Hawks did hero work, he got the credit, he got the money for it, and we splitted it. Since I did half the work, he did half the work. I'm saving money to get you a cat. I already bought us a dog. I already bought us a cat at home, and it usually stays in my room." He says, "That's a bad idea. Your father might kill it." He says, "Yeah, it's a terrible idea. I think I might just go bring that to you. It loves people." He says, "Thank you, honey." He says, "Oh, here's a 100 pounds of food." He says, "Here's some water, a giant jug of water." He pulls out a tectonic bottle of water. He says, "Here, they'll be needing this." He says, "I'll come by every once in a while to come deliver more stuff and Maybe sit down and have a chat. He says, okay. He says, also, diddling, puts down a little pad. He puts in a little hologram piece. He says, what is this? He says, it's like a hologram piece. Basically, it records your conversations. It could be like a telemarketer. Not a telemarketer. It can talk to you. You can talk to me, Shoto, and Fumier. We have it on our palms. It was pretty painful, though, to put it on. He says, you might not want to. She says, what do you mean? He says, you have to stick this into your hand, and then you start to bleed. But then you have to clean it up. And then you basically can press a button, and then you can see holograms of your friends, of them talking to you literally, what they're actually saying. Christian says, got the idea. Christian says, do you mind using your ice quirk on your hand? She goes, okay, and freezes her little pot in her hand. He says, now that has frostbite, he cuts it open so it doesn't hurt, and goes, boop. Then he places the tracker in, going, boop. Not the tracker, the hologram. He says, now use your ice quirk to put the pain away. She goes, oh, son, this is amazing. He says, Christian laughs, going, you thought that was it? He says, since I haven't seen you in years. He pulls out a little cube and throws it down. A robot comes out and says, how may I be of service to you, Rei Todoroki? He says, once a month he'll need a charge, so just call me and I'll bring a batteries. He says, and if he ever malfunctions, shock him. And if the shock fails, freeze him. He says also there's a flamer at the bottom that I put my own flames in. So if he ever goes crazy and berserk, it'll burn him and then crush him. Don't worry, the flames will instantly be extinguished. Don't worry. He says he'll help you. He says, alright, now have a good life. I'll be back soon. But he says, one more thing, Ashley. Press this button on your communicator. She presses it, and then a hologram of Shoto, Shoto actually appears on the hologram. He says, hi, Mom. And she actually gets to have live conversations with them. He also says that, this holo screen has, like, a camera on it, so it can see you. Kristen says, hi, Shoto. He goes, oh, hi, you're there? He says, yep, I gave her all the stuff. But then he sees something climbing on their mom's head. He says, Mom, what is that on you? He says, a cat. He says, where'd you get a cat? He says, Kristen. He says, heyo. He says, you caught onto Hawks. Endeavor hears that and rushes over and grabs Shoto. So I'm saying, you caught that from Hawks, didn't you? He goes, yep. She goes, Endeavor. And then turns her head. He says, look, Ray, if you want to live here, you can. I'm sorry. Christian says, she can't live there anymore after all I just gave her. She can't move. I mean, if she wants to, then it's going to take a lot of moving. He says, what'd you get her? He says, also, I don't trust you with cats. He says, what do you mean, cat? He says, it's a cat at home. I'm not letting you find it. He says, I'm going to hurt it? He says, bro, you have a fire mustache. You really think I'm going to fall for that? He says, when you get home, you're gonna get it. He says, oh, you wanna go, old man? I'll burn your face off. Then Christian calls Endeavor, and then they have their argument on their way home, going, ah! He says, wait a minute, this is Shoto's communicator. What are you doing with it? Did you rip it out of his hand? He says, no, Shoto's just behind me. I talk. He goes, what the f? I'm literally about to burn this house down. Then he runs home. He says, then he kicks down the door, and they have their real funny argument. They go, Christian says, hey guys, want to do something fun? He says, what is it? He pulls out 4 airsoft guns. 5 airsoft guns. And also he Ray's behind him with all her stuff and her cat in her hands. He says, 6 guns. He gives them to everyone. He says, airsoft war! Then they all run, then they all hide. Christian goes, yo, dude. He turns and hits Endeavor in the face. He goes, Endeavor doesn't realize that he was hit. But then his target is hit. He's, dang it, who got me? Christian pokes him, saying, "Got you." He says, "You can't. The airsoft is now disabled." He goes, "Damn you!" and pulls out his fire. Christian says, "Hold it up. I got a taser. I will tase you, senor." He says, "Abunda la gana." Then he gets shot from behind. He goes, "Shh, damn you, Shoto." He goes, "That's it." Then out of nowhere, Christian hears from Christian, Shoto, and Never all hear. Hold on, give me a sec. Natsuo is sitting, Fumie and Natsuo are sitting in their room. Natsuo goes, Natsuo puts on like a robe thingy and goes,
"It's the final brain cell. It's the final brain cell.
Christian goes. Then he just gets shot. He goes, "God damn you, Fumie!" He said. Christian walks in the room saying, "Hold on, I already been targeted." Christian says, "It's just you and Shoto left. Let's see the battle." These two get in the middle, getting ready to go. Christian says, "Go Fumie, go Shoto." The battle. No, then Endeavor goes, "Shoto." Christian says, "Jesus Christ, you're gonna break my eardrums." "Shut up with the Shoto." Ah, God! But then all they hear is... Then when they start to do a Nerf war, they use their quirks as well. Shoto uses an ice ball to block all the bullets. Well, basically the airsoft bullets. Taka no baka. Christian plays something. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Watch this." He goes, Dang it. I tried to find the one. After the battle is over between Shoto and Fumie, Fumie wins because she's the most... Oh, yeah, right. But then Fumie thinks she won. She goes, "Yeah," but then she gets shot from behind. Ray says, "Never underestimate the Todoroki." Christian goes, "Dang!" Then Christian and Natsuo pull out wooden swords and go. Clashing with their swords, going. Argh! Then Christian says, "This is boring. How about this?" and throws out two little things, and they both catch Christian. Then Christian goes. Then they both pull out lightsabers, going. Christian goes, "Ah, ah!" and then they start to clash. Step on a crack and you break your mom a minute. But then, then out of nowhere, something happens to Christian. He poofs into a child. Christian goes, "Wah!" Christian says, "How am I a child?" Natsuo looks, saying, "Bean." Then Fumie and Natsuo drag him. He says, "Let me go." Then they bring him into a room, and then he says, and then all the Todorokis are, and Fumie Natsuo says, "Do it." He says, "No." He says, "Do it since you are a child now." He says, you, Natsuo, I'm not doing it. He says, do it, and I'll buy you cookies. He goes, cookies? Cookies? He says, I don't like cookies. He says, I'll buy you miso ramen. He says, why don't you say so? He goes,
Jittering, hot bologna, macaroni, sitting out with the homies.
they go, so adorable. But then out of nowhere, on the bed he goes, no, then, about an hour later, he says, can I go now? He says, do it right. Then he goes, fine, fuck you, Natsu, I will never do this again. He goes, Chittawin, Topoloni, macaroni, now with the homies. Then he backflips. They say, what the hell? He backflips and goes, chilling with my homies. Then he says, Endeavor says, guys, we just got an invitation to a party. Christian says, what the how is this happening in one day? It's literally only been an hour since I turned into a baby, and I'm back to normal. How the is this happening? I just got into UA. Like, what the hell? I think my life is completely broken now. He goes, then when they get there, Christian looks and says, fuck this shit, I'm out. Ooh. Then Endeavor grabs Solo saying, you're not going anywhere. We have to stay here and be the party butlers. Christian says, what you doing? I'm not doing this. You tell me to do that and I will burn this place down. He says, the princess brat says, I'm a princess, you won't do shit to me. He says, I'm too pretty to die. She says, and also I'm a princess, so I don't give a hell what you do, he says. Then he smirks with an angered look.
Fuck a princess, I'm a king. Got out and kiss on my ring. Being a bitch is my kink. What the fuck else do you think? Fuck a princess, I'm a king. Got out and kiss on my ring. It's gonna hurt, it'll sting. Spitting up blood in the sink. I'm crazy, but you like that. I'm right back. Crazy's on your nightstand. Never forget about.
Alright, that's not the one I wanted. This is the one I wanted. The little brat says, get out before I make you. Since I'm a princess, he goes,
Fuck a princess, I'm a king. Got out and kiss on my ring. It's gonna hurt, it'll sting. Your blood in the sink. I'm crazy, but you like that. I'm right back.
dang it. Out. I am trying to record. Videos. Out. Out of my room. Now back to this. He goes, when she says, I'm a princess, he goes,
Fuck a princess, I'm a king. Bow down and kiss on my ring. It's gonna hurt, it'll sting. Your blood in the sink.
that's just enough for this video. Screw